You know that feeling maybe you're facing something really complex, a big challenge, and you just wish you had I don't know, the cheat codes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Well, for anyone becoming a contractor in Florida, tackling that business and finance licensing exam, that feeling is probably pretty real.
Oh, absolutely. It's a significant hurdle.
It really is. And today we're diving deep into something that, well, it might just be the closest thing to those codes we could find. The LLA exam prep exam simulator.
Right. So our mission here is basically to understand why this particular simulator seems to have earned such a strong reputation. Why is it seen as such a powerful tool for preparing?
Exactly. We want to figure out why so many people think this gives them a real edge for this, really crucial exam.
And we'll be looking at how LLA themselves evaluated their materials against the official state exam blueprint. We want to give you a clear picture of its effectiveness and talk about that pretty impressive 95% confidence rating they've given it.
Okay, so first things first. When you're facing a monster exam like this one, alignment seems, well, critical, right?
Yeah.
Studying the wrong stuff is just wasted effort.
Totally. The value of any practice tool, especially a simulator, it just hinges completely on how well it lines up with the actual test.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're practicing questions on topics that barely show up, or you're missing huge chunks of what is important, you're not really preparing effectively, are you?
No, not at all.
So a well-aligned simulator, it acts like a laser pointer for your study time. It guides you straight to what matters most.
Okay, so how did LLA make sure their simulator actually mirrors the Florida exam? What was
Yeah.
their process? Did they just like eyeball it?
No, it sounds like they were pretty rigorous about it, actually.
I,
From what we understand, they started by reviewing their own learning materials really closely. They even mention a high-level design document.
okay, that sounds serious.
It suggests a very structured approach, yeah. Then they took the official state content, outlined the state's own roadmap for the test, and meticulously compared their simulator content against that breakdown.
Ah, so a direct comparison.
Exactly. And crucially, they didn't just stop there. They also analyzed the simulator questions themselves to make sure those questions really test the knowledge and skills needed for each specific area.
Right, so a multi-layered check. Makes sense. Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts then. What are the key areas the Florida exam actually covers, and how does the LLA simulator stack up in each one?
All right. The exam breaks down into several main areas. The first one is establishing the contracting business.
Okay, the starting point.
Yep. Covers things like different business structures,
Mhm.
so proprietorship, LLC, S Corp, that stuff, plus the specific licensing rules in Florida and how you demonstrate financial responsibility.
And the simulator hits those.
LLA seems to have specifically built simulator questions targeting those foundational pieces.
Good. Can't let you do anything without getting that part right. What's next?
The next big chunk is managing administrative duties. And this one's pretty broad.
I bet. The paperwork side of things.
Exactly. It includes contracts, and they get specific, covering different types, key clauses like indemnification.
Ah, yes, where one party covers the other's potential losses.
Precisely. And things like retainage. It also covers estimating methods, project management documents, think change orders, submittals, even specifics on AIA documents.
Which are those standard industry forms, right?
That's them, widely used. Plus, it covers the necessary insurance types and surety bonds, performance bonds, payment bonds. The simulator seems to really break down all these administrative complexity.
It's definitely way more than just swinging a hammer, isn't it? So
Yeah.
much admin and legal stuff. What about the actual, on-site work part?
That falls under managing trade operations. This part deals with things like inventory methods. They specifically mention FIFO and LIFO.
First in, first out, last in, first out. Standard accounting for inventory.
Right. And understanding how to account for your equipment costs. The simulator has questions on these operational points too. It might be a smaller slice of the exam overall, but it's still key for running a tight ship.
Okay, so we've got setting up, admin, operations. Now for the part that, well, often trips people up.
Yeah.
The money side. The accounting.
Absolutely. Conducting accounting functions is a major focus area, and this is where LLA seems to provide a lot of practice.
Good. That's probably needed.
Yeah, it covers interpreting financial statements, balance sheets, income statements, understanding different accounting methods like cash versus accrual, and importantly, calculating and understanding financial ratios.
Ratios, right? Like liquidity ratios.
Exactly. They specifically call out practice with the current ratio and the quick ratio, and the key there isn't just knowing the formula, but what the numbers mean. what they tell you about a company's financial health.
Yeah, the interpretation is everything.
Right. The simulator apparently uses scenarios that force you to do that interpretation. It also covers payroll taxes, sales tax rules, and job costing methods. They really seem to hammer home the financial literacy you need.
That sounds incredibly detailed. Good.
Yeah.
What about the people side? Managing employees.
Yep, that's covered under managing human resources. The exam tests you on fundamental employment law. Things like the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA covering minimum wage, overtime,
The basics.
right, plus anti-discrimination laws, Title VII, ADA, the Equal Pay Act, also FMLA Family and Medical Leave Act, and Form I-9 requirements for verifying employment eligibility.
Wow. Okay, so HR compliance is definitely on the test.
It is, and the simulator includes questions specifically designed to test your grasp of these legal obligations, making sure you know how to hire and manage people properly, legally.
That's reassuring. It's not just about building things, but building a compliant business too.
Okay.
Okay, last piece. Dealing with all the regulations.
Yes, complying with government regulations, another critical area. This focuses heavily on specific Florida laws.
Like the contractor licensing stuff.
Exactly. Chapter 489 of the Florida statutes. Also, Florida's land law, Chapter 713, and they even mention knowing the specific time frames for filing liens.
Details matter there.
Hugely. Also, workers' compensation rules under Chapter 440, who needs coverage when? And then federal OSHA regulations, safety standards, reporting requirements.
The state and federal.
Correct. The simulator directly hits these specific legal points relevant to Florida contracting, not just general knowledge, but the actual statutes and rules you need to follow.
Okay, listening to all that, it really does sound like LLA went to great lengths to map their simulator directly to the real Florida exam. It's not just random questions.
Precisely. That seems to be its core strength and probably the main reason behind that 95% confidence rating we mentioned earlier. It's this deliberate, meticulous alignment.
Yeah.
The questions are crafted, it seems, to hit the same knowledge points, the same skills that the state is actually measuring.
And you mentioned earlier, it's not just about memorizing the answers, right? It's about that skill of finding the information efficiently, which is huge for an open book test.
That's a critical advantage they seem to focus on. The simulator helps you practice navigating your reference books quickly and accurately. This ties right into LLA's SurePass methodology, which is all about equipping you how to find answers under pressure, not just what the answers are.
That makes a lot of sense for open books. So that 95% confidence rating, it really stands out. What does that number really mean for someone studying?
Well, it signifies LLA's very strong belief, based on their own internal checks and that alignment analysis, that if you use their simulator effectively, you're highly likely to be well prepared for the actual Florida business and finance exam.
So it's basically their stamp of approval on its effectiveness.
In a way, yes. It's a testament to how closely they believe it mirrors the state's requirements and how rigorously they built it.
Okay, so for anyone listening who's maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed by this exam, where can they actually get this simulator?
Good question. It's available in two ways, actually. You can get the LLA exam simulator as a standalone product just for targeted practice.
Okay.
Or it's also included as a core part of LLA's full course access package, which obviously offers a more comprehensive study system around it.
And they're not skimping on the practice material either, are they? You mentioned the number of questions.
Right. They say there are over 1,500 practice questions available when you combine the simulator itself with their exam practice pad.
1,500. That is a lot of practice.
It's a huge number. It gives you tons of opportunity to really drill down, reinforce everything across all those different content areas, and just build your confidence before test day.
And they seem pretty confident in its quality, too, calling it the most accurately built exam out there. That's a bold claim.
It is a bold claim, but it really underscores their focus on mimicking the real test environment as closely as possible. Accuracy is key.
Yeah. Listening to all this, it really does start to sound like LLA might have maybe cracked the code for helping people pass this specific tough Florida exam.
It certainly suggests a very focused, data-driven, and potentially highly effective approach to preparing for this particular test.
So wrapping up, if you, the listener, are getting ready for the Florida Business and Finance exam, it sounds like the LLA exam prep exam simulator, whether you grab it on its own or as part of their full course, is definitely something you should consider like a serious contender for your study plan.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe the key to really tackling a challenging exam like this confidently does lie in finding preparation tools that are just meticulously, rigorously aligned with the real thing, something for you to think about as you map out your own path to getting licensed.